Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you, it's for us. The fantasies, no one can judge us, no one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you.
Hey y'all, hey, welcome to the Brown Book series. I'm your girl, Shay Baby, and I am here with another wonderful greatness. Like, she is awesome. Now, I'm not saying it's awesome because she's like an award-winning bestseller author and all that good stuff. I'm saying she's awesome because she's my girl, man. That's what I'm talking about. You know?
Crazy.
Like, so later on, when they be like, I'm telling y'all, I'm telling you, when the show is on for like 25 years and people are like, oh my God, Shay's farewell and she's built this multi-empire. Why is this next person always with her? I'm like, oh, this is how we started this thing together. And
Started from the beginning.
You already know. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause. Y'all know my lips big. I can't get it all out sometimes, but my lips still popping though. Okay. Award-winning USA Today's Wall Street Journal best-selling author, Miss Kennedy Ryan.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Hey, honey. Thank you for having me.
Girl, thank you for having me. Oh my God, how you been, Kennedy?
Girl, busy, but so good. Blessed, feeling good and
Looking good. You're so pretty.
You. Oh my gosh, girl, hair scraped back.
Listen, girl, I told him, I said, listen, this dress gonna be into my head in a minute, girl. It's absolutely crazy. Now, Kennedy, for the 4 or 5, maybe only 3 people on this earth who do not know who you are.
Right, for those 3.
For those 3, can you tell us just a little bit about Kennedy Ryan? Outside, we know you're an author, you best-selling, you're a rock star, we know all that. Tell us who Kennedy Ryan is.
I mean, you said it, I'm a romance writer. First of all, I write love stories. I write happily ever after.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did I lose you? You there, boo?
I'm here.
Okay, we was kind of stuck.
We went out
for a second, yes. But
right.
we got.
Okay. I hope my internet doesn't mess you up.
Girl, you good. When you froze, honey, your face was beat. You were like.
So as I was saying before, the internet tried to make us not great. I write love stories, I write happily ever afters. And my favorite thing to do is to put Black and brown people at the center of them, people who have been in the margins of traditional storytelling, making sure they're at the absolute center. So that's my favorite thing to do with my stories. That's who I am.
That's what she do. But you know what else you do, Kennedy, before we get into why you're here today? Because you know how to tell everybody all your business.
Right.
You, your work with autism.
Right.
Yo, it's like off the chain. I'm like, look at Kennedy. You is the
yeah. You know what? It's so interesting because I was working with autism, like with autism families, way before I started writing. My son was diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old,
right?
And he's 20 now. So I've been in this autism journey for 18 years. And for about 11 of those, I started and ran a foundation for families who have children with autism. So that's what I was doing before I started writing. That's what I was doing. We did married couples retreats for families who were in crisis. We did summer camps for, kids who couldn't afford like some services over the summer. Because a lot of times, especially kids who might not have adequate services. Don't ask me about autism because I'll start talking about it.
hear about it.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah, I told you. I think last time we talked, my niece is you know, has autism.
Has autism. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah,
and as, you know, I had to, because I used to tell I told you, I used to tell my brothers and my sister-in-law, she just don't like y'all. There's nothing wrong with her. She just don't like y'all. But you know, but it's just that, and that's you the one who actually educated me on it, that it's different spectrums of it.
Right. Well, there's, you know, you'll have there some people using different language. Some people are higher functioning, or some people are more impacted, or you know. But it is a spectrum of how this condition presents. My son is more severely impacted. You know, he'll be with us probably for the rest of our lives, you know, but he's a joy, absolutely. So there'll be some people, you know, there's some people who, like someone like Talia Hibbert, who talks very openly about being on the spectrum. You know, obviously she's brilliant and she's articulate and she's all of these things. So, you know, it's a spectrum of how it presents. A lot of the families that we worked with, you know, had children more on the severe end and younger, because really autism, well, we had an explosion of autism diagnosis in the late 90s, early 2000s. And my son was kind of in that initial explosion of cases. And so now we're just getting to a place where that generation of kids they're not kids anymore. You know, they're 18 years old, they're 20 years old, they're 22 years old. And so, you know, that's a whole different set of challenges to navigate. And so we're in that phase, you know, where a lot of services start dropping off for children as they age out, after they turn 18, after they turn 21, you know, what happens after school. It just depends. It's going to look different for each child. But yeah, so that's what I was doing before. I've been writing professionally since I was 17. You know, I started writing for our city newspaper when I was 17 years old. I went to journalism school. I was a freelance writer. I've worked in public relations for nonprofits. So I did all of those things. And I started a foundation for families who have children with autism. And I ran it for about 11 years. And then when I got my first book deal.
Like cuddling up with a good romance novel? How about getting to know the author in a way that's fun instead of sleep-inducing? Then you'll love hanging out with Shay Baby from the Brown Book series. It's a talk show, but much, much more. You'll learn about the book and the author, the reviews, interviews, and answers to questions that only Shay Baby could get away with asking. Brown Book series, a novel experience with Shay Baby. Look for Brown Book series now on YouTube and get more at brownbookseries.com.
Hey y'all, hey, and we're back with the award-winning USA Today's and Wall Street Journal's best-selling author, Miss Kennedy Ryan. Wall Street Journal, what you got? How did you get into a Wall Street Journal?
I mean, I was with a group of authors, and the anthology we were in hit the Wall Street Journal, you know, list. So I work it.
You are definitely working. That you are. Okay, Kennedy. Before we start talking about the real reason you are here,
right?
You know, I got to have a few of the shenanigans. Not too much, just a little bit. We're gonna hit
a little bit of the shenanigans. I'm ready.
Just a little bit of shenanigans, just not too much. I hit it and quit it. So this one is called "In My Feelings," right?
Oh Jesus. Okay.
Don't cry.
Go. You're fine.
It's called "In My Feelings." Will we give you a name of like one of your characters, or a passage from one of your books, or a synopsis?
Oh yeah. I remember this.
Okay. Yeah, a book cover or something, and you have to tell us at that moment when you was in your feelings, like, you know, what do you think about this character? Like, you know, when you hear his name, or when you see this particular cover or something like that. Okay.
Okay.
In My Feelings, first character is, you already know I had to get you.
Oh, Lennox. In My Feelings for Lennox, inspired. You know, I'm inspired because she is, for those who don't know, she's the heroine from my All the King's Men duet, from the Kingmaker and the Rebel King. She's Yavapai Apache and an indigenous woman, Native American. And growing up, she was a water protector, you know, so she would organize runs, you know, to and she would be a part of protest, protecting, native lands. We first meet her. She is speaking at a protest because they're trying to lay a pipeline over protected native lands.
Yes.
And that's where she first meets our hero, Maxim, So I think I might be one of the few authors who has a meet cute at a pipeline protest.
You are definitely that. Yeah. I was like,
right. But, so they meet when she's only 17 years old. Nothing happens, but that's when they first meet, is when she's 17. And, she grows up to be an amazing political operative, kind of like an Olivia Pope type character who, battles to put leaders in position who will fight for the things that she believes in. So I would say in my feelings for Lennox, I feel inspired, powerful woman, who kind of makes her own way, and for the good though, not just for herself, but the good, the greater good. So inspired.
Okay. See, I told you I'm gonna keep it light. Okay, cool.
I see that.
Yeah. All right. In my feelings,
Mhm.
title of this book, My Soul to Keep.
Oh, wow. I mean, with My Soul to Keep, the thing that's really special about that book for me is I don't dream.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 2 times that I dreamt and woke up with something to write immediately. The first time that happened to me was with My Soul to Keep. And so I guess the emotion would be, I don't know what that emotion would be, but fueled. What happened was I was asleep. I don't ever remember my dreams, but This dream was so vivid. I literally got out of bed, and it wasn't even just like a dream. It was like words, literally like words, just kind of like on my brain, like I could see it. And I got out of bed. I ran downstairs. It's like 3 a.m, and I just started typing everything that was in my head, and it became the prologue to My Soul to Keep. And of course, when you're editing, you always change things.
Right.
That part of My Soul to Keep is almost completely unchanged from what I woke up, and wrote out of that dream. So that's always really special to me. That happened with My Soul to Keep, and it happened with one of my fan favorite books, one of the books that a lot of my readers love still, which is book 3 of the Grip series.
Yes.
There's a great, actually, you probably can't see it, but the poem from that series is called Still, is up on the wall behind me. And that poem, I dreamt. I woke up and the whole poem was just like poured out in my head. And in like literally 2 minutes, I just jotted it down like on a piece of paper beside my bed. And it hasn't changed, And so for me, that's like, it almost feels like you didn't write it. You know what I mean? It feels like it was given to you.
Yes.
So grateful. I think though, those 2 things make me feel grateful, because a lot of times people talk about like God-given talent or like, that kind of thing. It just feels sometimes like something's working through you,
Yeah, working through you, for you.
Right. And for other people, so that you can share stories with other people. So that's, I guess, grateful when I think about that particular book.
My Soul to Keep. Now, the title of it, who came up with the title?
It's so funny because that prayer, of course, a lot of people growing up saying, now I lay me down and sleep. And so this young girl actually grew up and her father was a pastor. And, so there's a very interesting history with him. But it came out of that prayer, My Soul to Keep. And I had written the entire book and had not titled it. And one of my author friends, Adriana Locke,
okay.
She read the book and she was like, why don't you just call it My Soul to Keep? And I was like, oh, because the prayer like goes to the entire book, but I just hadn't thought of it for whatever reason. And so Adriana Locke is the one who said to me, why don't you just call it My Soul to Keep? And so I did.
Okay, that's what's up.
Thanks, Addie.
Thanks, Addie. Look. All right.
This book is special to me too because it's my first self-published book. I had 4 traditionally published books and I had never self-published, and this book is my first indie novel. So
you're considered a hybrid author.
Oh yeah, I'm considered hybrid. Yeah, so I just signed a great book deal with Hachette Forever Romance, and the first book of that series is called Hindsight, and it's coming out next November. So that'll be my return to trad, because I debuted with Hachette with Forever.
Right.
I did 4 books with them. And then I started writing indie romance. And I have been writing indie for like the last, 3-4 years. And now I'm going back to trad, but I'll still also be self-publishing.
Right.
And Queen Move was through a small press, so.
Queen Move was awesome.
Oh, thank you. But, that's a big part of my business model, is that I believe there are readers all over, like all these pockets of readers in different ecosystems. And I believe a big part of how I reach them is diversifying distribution, so I'll self-publish. And then I will publish with a small press for, like I did for Queen Move. Then I'll publish with one of the big 5, like one of those, the big publishers.
Yeah.
I'll publish with them. I'll do all of those, if I can, if they'll have me. And I'm definitely going to have myself. So.
You know me. God bless the child that got his own, baby.
Right. But there is a special place in my heart for indie publishing. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a businesswoman.
Sure.
And so I'm an advocate for indie publishing, but at the same time, I am not afraid to diversify if I feel like it's going to help me reach more readers.
Okay, I absolutely love it. So your next novel, before we go to our next one, will be out next November, or would you have one out before then?
Oh yeah, I'll have so we haven't talked yet about Real, of course. Real just released June 8th.
Right.
And so it begins a new series called the Hollywood Renaissance series. I will release there's a novella coming out in September that's in the same world.
Oh.
It's a Hollywood Renaissance novella. And so Takira, who is the best friend of the heroine in Real, it's her novella. That's coming out in September. And then probably in the first quarter of 2022. Oh my gosh, that feels like it feels like right? Right. So the first quarter of 2022, the Score, which is the next book, like this book is called Real. Right. The novella that's coming out in September is called The Close-Up. And then Score, which is the next book in the series, will come out in the first quarter of 2022. And then my first book with Hachette, it's a new series called Skyland. Okay. And the first book is called Hindsight, and it'll come out we're thinking November of 2022. Okay,
look at you. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna need first dibs on that virtual book release party. Gonna let whoever know we need to get it.
I'm really, really excited about Skyland. I really, really am. Like it's set here in Atlanta, and I'm really, really excited about it. The first book is a divorced couple. Ooh. So it's one thing to write marriage in crisis. It's another to write y'all divorced.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, I can't wait to read that, because whenever your eyes roll back and sound really, really excited, we know that, okay, y'all, that's her signature with your bluff face. Like, nah, yeah, this is gonna be a good book.
It's gonna be interesting.
Next up, In My Feelings. It's a passage. Okay. Is there anything sadder than a daddy's girl at her father's funeral? My mother's quiet sniffs a few seats down. Give me the answer. A grieving widow.
Queen Move.
Yes.
That's Queen Move. That is the prologue for Queen Move.
Yes. In Your Feelings. When you wrote this passage, this prologue, what were you thinking? How are you feeling?
I first of all sympathized with that character because she was a daddy's girl, and she's at her funeral. And for me, I am a daddy's girl, and my father, thank God, is still alive. So I felt for her, and it's funny because at the time my husband had recently lost his father. And so we were, processing a lot of things, a lot of feelings, a lot of grief. And I think I probably poured some of that into that scene. But I was also thinking, because in that scene, Ezra, who is our hero, she's about to see Ezra for the first time in like almost 20 years. Yeah. And I was just thinking about all the things, a kind of chaos, like a chaos of emotions, because yes, she's at her father's funeral, but she's about to see basically her soulmate, who she hasn't seen in 20 years in the same context as this happening. So it's kind of like all of this is coming at her at once. And she really can't process it all, but something about when she sees him again, that connection is still there.
I know. It was connection for me too when I saw him again.
right.
Yes, I was like, I'm not gonna trip on her because she's at her dad's funeral, Miss Campbell. Yeah, but I'm, she. Okay, but okay, cool.
Right.
So now we got the feelings for that. Okay, cool. Next one. In My Feelings, book cover, The King's Maker.
Oh gosh.
When you look at this book cover, what do you feel?
It's hard for me to separate that book cover from what it took to get it. Because we reshot that cover.
I know.
I think I told you that.
Oh, yeah.
We shot the cover. I wasn't happy with it because that is who I am. And I was like, can we get new models, new wardrobe, reshoot the whole thing, a new location? We did all of that only for me to say, don't kill me, but I think I like the first one better. He was like,
can we use up all the budget? I'm like,
all the budget and all the patience. No, and all the grace. No more patience, no more grace. Nothing left for Kennedy. She was like, wait, are you saying that we just reshot the whole cover, like with new models, new wardrobe, new location, and you want to go with the original cover?
I'm glad you did, though.
I love it, though. I do it. You know what? It's just like, I had to find the right, because when you do a cover like that, you do a full photo shoot.
Yes.
So you're looking at 100, 200 photos. And it took a lot for me to process, and I just felt like it's not here. And the second time I went to it, I was looking through it, and I was like, if we crop and we do this and we do that, it could be. And that's what we did,
And it's good. So when you look at it, how do you feel now? Now that, take away, if you can, everything it took to get through it.
Right.
All the grace you lost, all the
right.
pain you lost. Everything, the other models upset with you, all that.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the cover, how do you feel?
I feel proud of it. I do. I feel like there is a tenderness in that shot.
It is.
Because they are, I don't know who has read that book, but they're an alpha couple.
Yes, they are.
You always talk about alpha males, but she's an alpha female.
Mm-hmm.
She she doesn't need anybody leading her, directing her. She's like, any room I step into, I'm the leader.
Yes.
And he's like that too. No, any room I step into, I'm the leader, And so there's these incredibly powerful personalities, like just clashing, but at the same time meshing.
Yeah, because he wasn't so overbearing with,
Right. And see, he is what when I wrote, because there are certain people, there's alpha male and there's alpha hole. And people are like, it's an alpha male, but he's an asshole. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing, is alpha hole, and people who like alpha holes, like, go for it. But there are a lot of people, especially.
I tell my husband he's an alpha hole. I like that now.
Now you got it. You're welcome.
I was wondering what you think.
Right. And as romance evolves, like the alpha male is a staple in the romance genre, like always will be. But I think what's evolving is, and what I wanted to show an evolution in when I wrote Maxim was, yes, he's an alpha male and he's born into privilege, but he eschews it. You know what I mean? He basically walks away from all of that and starts on his own because he wants to live on his own terms and not his father's, because he doesn't agree with his father principally.
Right.
His father's the one laying that pipeline, and he fundamentally disagrees with his father's company laying a pipeline on these people's land that's supposed to be protected by a treaty.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
right.
Like,
and so he's like, I'm not doing this, and I'm not going to be this person. So he makes his own way. He becomes wealthy, all of that. I like to call Maxim a woke alpha.
Yes.
He is, because he's an alpha, but he's also a feminist. Mm-hmm. Because a feminist is nothing more than someone who understands the fundamental equality between the sexes. Yes. That's all a feminist is.
That's it. And that's why I used to tell people, men can be feminists as well. It's not just females, right?
Of course, they should be. And Lennox is the kind of woman who, if you don't see her as an equal, you're not getting in.
Yeah.
So the thing I like about that cover is they have all this power, but that shot shows the tenderness between them and the connection between them. So.
It really does. Okay, last one.
Okay.
In My Feelings, the storyline. For months, I stood by an understudy waiting in the wings, preparing for my time to shine. I never imagined that he would watch in the audience that night.
These are good. These are good, girl. You thought about this, man. It's you should do this for a living.
Okay, I had to try. I had to when I get new segments. I had to try them out on Kennedy.
I like this. Yeah. So of course that's real.
Yes.
Real. The storyline it's hard for me to sum it up because the breadth of it was so hard for me to get my arms around. There's an historical vein that goes through it, but that perspective, what you just read, excitement, excitement for the heroine, that's her perspective, because she is an understudy on Broadway, and there's a director named Cannon, and he finds a kind of like a lost life story of a jazz singer from the 30s and the 40s. Think about how I always make this analogy, or think about like Ma Rainey. We just had the Ma Rainey story on.
Was Viola Davis did it?
Yes, right, on Netflix.
Wonderful.
Or think about how in the 90s, Halle Berry did Introducing Dorothy Dandridge.
Yes.
And this is someone who everybody should know, but too few people knew at the time. And when she did this story about her life, it introduced her to all these people. So this director comes across this kind of lost life story of a fictionalized character I created named Desi Blue. And he's making this huge biopic about her life. And he's looking for his Desi, like the actress who will be his Desi. And his friend drags him to a Broadway show. And that it just so happens that night she's the understudy, and that night she's performing. He sees her, and he's like, "This is my Desi," And so they go from there. Of course, they fall in love with each other, but over the course of this whole story, we unpack Desi's story. So it's not an historical novel, because a lot of people they're like, "Is it historical?" It's not historical. Right. It has an historical vein that runs through the whole book. So I am really excited for readers to find this story.
Girl, let me tell you something. Here, you my girl, so I'm just going to be real honest. I want the damn man who was reading the audio book.
Jacoby?
Oh, he can get it.
Oh yeah. Jacoby. Yeah, Jacoby read Ezra, like for Queen Move. He read the audiobook of Ezra too, and Grip. He
sound different. I don't know, girl. He sound different as Ken, honey. Let me tell you something. First of all, I'm mad at you because you had me up all night, and I'm like, I had to and he was sounding so good. I said, Shay, switch to you reading the book yourself. Do not lay in this bed, listen to this man. It's gonna be ugly. You hear me?
You were so crazy. But no, Jacoby. His name is Jacoby Diem. I now call him Jacoby Damn Diem.
Girl, damn.
Yeah, his voice. Somebody said to me today, they were like, I don't know what Jacoby looks like, but his voice is fine AF.
Let me tell you, fine as fuck. Girl, I'm telling you, I was just like, he sounds so good. And then too, because everybody know, I like the girls here now. It's them too. Even the chick that was
Oh yeah, they do. And you know what? It's so funny you say that, because today they got an Earphones Award for real. Which is right. It's like if you think about like a starred review for Publishers Weekly or Kirkus or something like that. So AudioFile magazine reviewed Reel and gave the audiobook, which is basically giving the narrators an Earphones Award, which is a huge deal for narrators. And I'm just so proud. It's an all-Black cast, which is, to see their, voices spotlighted, winning, that kind of recognition. I'm for it. I'm so excited for this story to be highlighted that way, because it came from a place of gratitude for Black creators who pioneered so much for us and whose acknowledgments have gone, sorely undersung.
Yes.
And sorely under acknowledged, and in many cases lost or miscredited or stolen, so that's what was really important to me.
Stolen first.
Right. In addition to the love story, it was my love letter to people like Adelaide Hall, who a lot of people don't know, to people like Billie Holiday, to people like Louis Armstrong, to people like James Baldwin, to people who were navigating incredibly difficult circumstances living here in America, but who managed to innovate and literally transform the cultural landscape of this country with music, with art. And like we wouldn't have jazz, we wouldn't have blues, we wouldn't have hip hop, we wouldn't have R&B, we wouldn't have rock and roll if they hadn't persevered and given us joy, So this book is my love letter to them.
So how did you come up with wanting to write this type of book? Were you just sitting at home one day listening to jazz or just thinking about that thing? Like what made Kennedy Ryan say, I'm going to write a Harlem Renaissance novel?
Right. And it feels to me like in broader culture, there's a fascination with this era right now. Like we were just talking about, and around that time, but reaching back, like when you look at Ma Rainey, which of course was on Netflix. Yeah. When you look back at Sylvie's Love, which was on Amazon, when you look at even United States versus Billie Holiday,
right.
That just came out on Hulu not too long ago.
That was a mess.
Woo. And I did a lot of reading for this. I reread, because I had read it before a long time ago, but I reread Lady Sings the Blues. I read Angela Davis has a book that's a commentary on Black feminism from the perspective of Bessie Davis, Billie Holiday, and third person, Ma Rainey. And I read that book and just how much it informed, what happened in this novel. And so it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, you did an awesome job with this too. And then with the audio, I don't know why I keep going back to the audio. I know.
Oh no, the audio, because the audio has. Did you hear the songs?
That's what I was just about to say. Who's singing?
It's April Christina. Her name is April Christina. And it's so interesting because as I was writing, I realized how much work I had to do for the audiobook. Because first of all, initially I didn't realize how strong Desi's story was going to be. Right. If you listen to it on audio, if you read it in paperback, because for people who don't know, obviously a lot of people haven't read it yet, but it's not an historical novel. We don't go back to the 30s, but they're making a movie about, someone from the 30s. So I use the script, parts of the script to tell Desi's story.
Yes.
So it literally is like a screenplay in the middle that runs through the contemporary love story. And I had to learn to write screenplay, So
you need to really learn how to write screenplays, because this is about to be a movie, and then the next one, all this is about to be movies and stuff. Like I'm telling you, it read like a movie. I'm like,
that's what everybody keeps saying. They're like, this felt like a movie. But as I was writing it, I realized that because at first I just had Ebony, who was also, who's Neva, and Jacoby doing the voices. And I said, okay, Ebony will just do Desi's voice because it'll just be a little. But as I started writing, I started telling more of her life and really building out the script. And I realized it was going to be about 20% of the novel. And I really needed her voice to be so distinct from Ebony's. And so that's when we brought in Nicole Small. And Nicole is like, she to me, she just shines, when she's doing the different voices from that era. Yeah. And so, and then I was like, this book is so much about the music of that era.
Yes.
I need music. And then I was like, okay, I want singing, And so then I found April, who's here in Atlanta with me, and I've worked with her before. And April just popped in. Fortunately, the studio that we were going to use was here in Atlanta. Right. April popped into the studio, knocked out the 2 songs, because there are 2 songs. Mm-hmm. And then when I was writing the author's note at the very end, I started tearing up, and I was like, because I don't know if you listened all the way to the end, but I read my own author's
I
notes.
did, yes, I read all the way to the end. But I listened. I rewinded back to some of Jacoby parts though. But
Right. Everybody keeps going Jacoby, chapter 59, because chapter 59 is when he shaves her legs. I think that's when he shaves her legs.
listen, and then I felt for a hot second, quit it in centimeter piece with her sister.
Oh. Everybody hates her
story.
sister. We don't want spoiled.
We don't want to spoil it.
Sister.
Yeah, I was just like, is Kennedy about to, why did we have to start out like this?
But you know,
sometimes
we're estranged from our family, and family can do some stuff.
Yes.
And we find ways to forgive.
And we do. Okay, we're gonna move on. So all right, last question, because I know we got to get Kennedy up out of here, honey, because she's a superstar, honey. She got to get going. The cover. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this damn cover. Kennedy, tell the truth.
Love it. Do you love it?
I love it. Tell the truth. How many times you made these folks do this cover over?
When I tell you, we didn't do it over, but it was an undertaking.
It was.
It really was. I mean, this cover, my whole team was about to walk out on me, honestly, because not literally, but
yeah.
Really, at one point, one of them was just like, I can't make any more changes. First of all, we shot the cover in March. And I started working on it in November. So November is when we started meeting with the photographer. We would have Zoom meetings. We would do mood boards. They would bring in samples. I'm telling you. We had like 3 dresses, and because we had the dress. The dress was on site. They had it. And I came across the red dress. It was a perfectly good dress that we had. It was great. And then I saw the red dress and I was like, we were literally a week away from shooting the cover. They had the dress for a little while. And I came across this dress on like a vintage site. And I said, is it just me or is this one better? And they were like, it is better, but we already have a dress that you've already paid for, and we're only a week away from the cover shoot. And I said, but are you saying it's better? And they were like, yes, it is better. I said, that's all I care about.
That's all I care about.
I don't care. They're like, we can't get the money back. I don't care.
I pay for that one. I'll pay for this one. Look.
I have to. If you're telling me that this one is better, then we have to use this one, and it was like close. I think it got there like the day before the cover shoot. And me and like people from my team, we were combing Instagram for the models. Like we started looking in November, and I think we didn't find them until maybe like February. And we booked them in February for the March cover shoot. It was intense. It was very intense. Everyone hates me when we do cover. Everyone hates me when we do covers. Like that's just, they already know, when Kennedy does covers, we're all going to hate her for a little while, but
they just know that you like who you like, and it's your vision, it's your baby. And they love it at the end because we all do.
Yeah. I love how it turned out. I definitely do. I love how it turned out. And I just wanted to see this, gorgeous Black couple on the cover looking in love. And, that's what we got. That's what we got.
I was like, who dresses? All right, Kennedy, one more real quick. I asked you this one time before, but I know it's been over a year, so times have changed. Dead or alive? If you were hosting a dinner party and could invite 5 people from any era, who would it be?
Oh, well, I'm just going to sink into this era because that's what I just finished writing. And I've encountered so many fascinating people. You did the audio, but if you did the ebook or the paperback, the opening, there's a dedication. And
I did both because Jacoby I had to keep switching because he was.
Oh, okay. So the dedication, I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. No, you can't. The dedication is just a page full of Black creatives.
I can see that. Yes.
You know, and so I could choose so many of them and just say this one, this one, this one.
Pick 5, Kennedy, 5.
I know, I heard you. So Frankie Manning, I would choose Frankie Manning, who was a choreographer in the same kind of realm, same kind of era as, say, like a Fred Astaire. The difference being that Fred Astaire and his white counterparts went on to like be famous in Hollywood. He who pioneered the Lindy Hop, and then it was appropriated as the jitterbug. He, and, you know, pioneered all these dances with his crew at the Savoy, went on to work at a post office. Nothing wrong with working at a post office. Went on to work at a post office for 40 years while Fred Astaire went on to Hollywood. And it wasn't until he was 70 years old that he was really even acknowledged. And he won a Tony when he was like 70 years old. Wow. Frankie Manning, right? Josephine Baker, obviously. I mean, no need to explain that one, but Josephine Baker.
Right.
Let me see who else. Zora Neale Hurston. I can't remember if I said her last time, but I say her every time because I love Zora Neale Hurston. Their Eyes Are Watching God is one of my favorite books of all time. So that's 3. I would do Gladys Bentley, who was queer in a time when we're not sure that, you know, there wasn't much support for it. She was a cross-dresser, and she became famous in New York nightclubs, and then she went out west to kind of make her way. But she's like a pioneer as a queer entertainer. That's Bentley, yeah. And then I would have to say Adelaide Hall. Adelaide Hall was one of the singers who I really based the character of Desi on. And she is in the Guinness Book of World Records as having the most enduring recording career of all time. She recorded songs across 8 decades.
See, and it's so crazy because I never heard of her.
I know.
Until I now was like, okay, let me go back over here and see this. Can you make this up? But
right.
It's crazy.
Adelaide Hall, 8 decades. She has had the Guinness World. She was in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most enduring entertainment career. Held the record for the most encores, 54. Was called back to the stage 54 times, performing for the troops during World War II. And she made her life for the most part in London because, I mean, a lot of these artists fled America because it was a racist country that didn't acknowledge their gift.
Right.
That's why so many of them ended up in London, ended up in Paris. Look at James Baldwin, look at Sidney Bechet, who was a horn player, who was here when he lived here in America, was working as a tailor, which nothing wrong with being a tailor, but he's one of the greatest horn players in history. Went to Paris, took over, became famous, had music festivals named after him in Paris. But here, because of all the systemic racism, the barriers he kept encountering, ended up being a tailor. So that's 5.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to think that this book is just history because it's very steamy.
It is, y'all. It is. Jesus, my God. That dang on Cannon can get Cannon and Jacoby can get it at the same damn time.
Yes, it is. It is steamy.
Yes.
And it's a love story. It's this epic love story. And we haven't even talked about the fact that the heroine is managing chronic illness.
Yes.
So there's a lot that's going on. And I had to really wrap my arms around it. But I like to be stretched, because that's how life is. Life is not just this one thing. Life is, I have a chronic illness, but I have a dream. I want to be an actor. I want to be an actress. So I'm going to manage this chronic illness to the best of my ability so I can pursue my dream. Life is, I'm making a movie. I'm in love with someone, but we're making a movie. And, I'm the director and she's the actress. And there's a power dynamic and I have to figure out, and I've had questions about the Me Too movement. And did I think about the fact that he was the director and she was the actress? And of course, they're talking about like all of the, Harvey stuff. And so I get that, and I try to be very careful and very clear about consent.
Yeah, she wanted it.
She wanted it,
Yeah.
So, and that was deliberate, that there was a little bit of aggression.
Yes.
With not that he didn't want it too, but it was very clear that he was the one who was like, I'm holding back here because I want this decision completely in your court. I want it to be very, very clear. I'm not coercing you. I'm not taking advantage of you. I'm not abusing my power as the director here. And I was very, very clear on that.
He was fresh off of a mini scandal kind of a little bit too.
Right. Right. So it's like, I had all of that I was managing, and I didn't want readers to have any question about his intentions. I wanted them to
had no questions, nothing, not about no intentions. I was like, she want it, I want it, go on and get it, boy, get it.
But I did have him hesitate. You know what I mean? That was why the hesitation was there, is because there's a broader conversation and culture right now about just these things, about women being raped, by directors, about them being blackballed because they won't, give sex for roles. Like, I'm very cognizant of that in the broader culture. So Cannon held back a little bit, You wrote
it brilliantly too, because, women, they got the whole stigma of sleeping to get to the top.
Right. And they acknowledged that too. He was like, I don't want you. This is your first movie. I don't want people to think that you got this movie because you're sleeping with me.
Right.
And she was like, do you think I'm trying to trap you? Do you think I'm trying to take it? So they had conversations, communication around that. So that the reader was clear and they were clear.
And I'm clear too, girl. I'm clear that this is an absolute hit. I'm clear that nothing but just pure blessings and prosperity is going to come. I'm clear that if this is going to be a movie, I'm going to do the red carpet.
I'm ready now, honey. Believe me. We have, there are a couple of series that have been optioned for television, and I'm, just excited about that. So my hands are wide open. Whatever God wants to put in them, I'm like right here.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, Kennedy, we want to thank you so much. We got one last question we want to ask you, but before we go, before we ask this last question, I just want to say thank you for stopping by the Brown Book series. You already know.
Having me.
You are a friend of the show. You're a show favorite. You my sis. So I just happy that you stop on by here and grace your beauty.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Now, let everybody know, first of all, where they can get in contact with you, all your social media handles, and where can they go get this book, Real?
Real is on all platforms. They can get it from Amazon. They can get it on Barnes and Noble. They can get it on Google Play. They can get it on Kobo. They can get the audiobook. If you are an audio person, I definitely recommend the audiobook. It is like an experience. There's music. There's 3 narrators. It's incredible. Jacoby, definitely Jacoby. So I highly recommend the audio. They can find at KennedyRyanWrites.com. I'm on TikTok, have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm on TikTok, Kennedy Ryan Author, Instagram, Kennedy Ryan 1. Like, I'm at all the places, so come find me.
Yeah, just come find her. All right, Kennedy, last question.
Okay.
If you were writing a book about your life, what would the title be?
Driven. Probably driven.
Yeah, that's true. You are very driven. But
I think that there is a drive in me, that when I look at, like, you can do Strengths Finder, which is like basically when you identify what your strengths are, how your personality is. My number 1 is achiever. So I recognize that about myself, that I'm always, and there's a darker, not darker side, but there's kind of like an underbelly to every strength, where if you only live in that strength, or you don't check it, it can be dangerous, and constantly being driven by achieving all the time can be really hard. But that's, I call myself a type A-, because I also have woo, which is winning others over, where you have this personality where you bring people in, you persuade them, you rally people to follow you. I have leadership, I have communication. So the things that I do, even like doing Lift for Autism, like all of those things are they grow out of my personality.
Right.
But underlying it all is a drive. I mean, a drive to do good, a drive to write for impact, a drive to live, a life that leaves a legacy. So I would say driven. I would definitely say driven.
I absolutely love it. Brown Book series, please give a round of applause for the wonderful Miss Kennedy Ryan.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. Hold one second for me. Hold on. All right, Brown Bookers, if you like the interview, and I know that you did, I just know you did, honey, because we all of us from Kennedy Ryan. Make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend. All right, y'all know how we get down 6 o'clock. You're right here at the Brown Book Series. 7 o'clock, we're going to go on over to Authors Behind the Pages with author Reese Ryan. She has oh my gosh, she got some good interviews over there, honey. Then after we leave Reese at 7 o'clock, we're going to cruise on over to Cruise Radio with Iris Bolling for Iris Moments. You know, Wednesday night is where it's at. It is what it is. I'm your girl, Shay Baby, the Brown Book Series. I'll see you guys on next week.
Open up your brown book, baby. It's for you, it's for us. The fantasies, no one can judge us, no one can judge us. This is for us. Open up your brown book,